Okay, we're getting really close on our poster now. Now we just need to add those finishing touches of either textures or background elements. Before we do that, let's just pretend like this poster was exactly what the client asked for, or this artist or whatever. But let's say it's not quite what you were feeling and you hate it. That happens a lot as a graphic designer. You might have to appease somebody else who wants something specific, and let's say purple was his favorite color, but it just looks terrible. So what I would do in this situation, I would go ahead and save where we're at, and because I've been recording these videos, I've been forgetting to save, but make sure you save along the way. So we save this, and then usually what I would do in this situation, if I'm happy with one look, I would save it here and just hold on to this file, and then I would hit Command-Shift-S or Control-Shift-S on a PC and save this state as something else. So I've got 11 by 17 poster, and I might put dash and then V2 as my second version or another idea that I had. So I'll hit save, and now no matter what I do to this, I can always go back to this point in time where maybe it's exactly what they wanted. Again, it's not my favorite at all. We got some work to do, so let's go ahead and dive in. One idea I had when I was looking at Pexels.com, we had this guitar image and we had this, I thought it was a soundboard. As I looked at it again though, it's actually a DJ turntable. So maybe this guy's a DJ and he's not a guitarist at all. Let's go back to our Photoshop file, and I'm going to click, here's a trick, whatever layer you click on with your, I've got my Move tool selected, and I've got auto select layer turned on, so I can click through any layer, and over here it'll automatically select that layer. So I can start, if I wanted to, I can start clicking on anything and moving it around. I'm going to hit Command Option Z. Remember, you got to throw in that Option key to step back multiple steps. If that was turned off, sometimes it's handy if you've got a really obscure layer, like let's say you want to move this John Singer title behind him, but without actually accidentally selecting him. So I'll select my layer, and now no matter where I select on my artboard, I can move that around behind his head. Okay, so that's a handy trick to know. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to play with this a little bit. I don't like this divider here, so I select it. I'm going to hit delete. I can't see my text now, but that's okay. We'll fix that here in a second. I want to fix this gap, so I'm going to click once on him, Command T, and we'll scale him up a little bit, holding the Shift key down. Okay. And then let's grab that turntable, and I'm just going to drag it right into this image. Now, one thing you need to be careful when you download web images, or any image in general, make sure it's a high quality. It should be a bigger file, because you'll notice right now this came in at full size. This is a poster. So now if I hit Command T and I scale it up, I run the risk, let's say I go real big, I run the risk of this becoming really pixelated if I get really close in. Maybe it's blurry and it looks bad. So it's just something you need to pay attention to. Okay, in this case it's big enough for what we're doing. I can hit return, and let's hit Command and the left bracket, that key right by the letter P, to move this layer down below him. Okay, now there's not enough contrast, so now what we can play with this layer, we can change the opacity right here, and you can scrub this down to make that a little bit softer, and whatever layers below will show through. I can also, a shortcut for that, I'll just hit the numbers on my 10 keypad. If I hit 5, it jumps to 50% opacity, or maybe 8 for 80% opacity. In this case, I want it to be a little more subtle, so hit the 3 to 30%. I don't like that purple background. What can we do with that? Let's play with that a little bit. Let us try maybe a blue or something. Okay, and now his title's kind of getting lost. Let's bring that above our turntable layer. And maybe now that those are darker tones, maybe we need to make it a lighter color, so I can, with that layer selected, I'll make it white. Command delete to make it white behind him. I'm going to click on that turntable and just kind of move it around to where I like the look of it. Let's just kind of see what we've got here. Maybe we'll feature that so you can see the turntable a little bit better, or maybe we like the dials. It just totally is your preference, your call, whatever you want to do. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. And then now we got to make this text here legible. So let's click on that, and I'm going to make it align left. And let's see here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. People can study this image. If they're really interested in this, they can look at it and figure out the details of the concert. We'll grab this location. So what I'm doing now, I moved it over, hit T, click in there once, Command A to highlight the whole thing, click on the left, align left box, and I'll hit return when I'm done. Actually, I hit the enter key when I'm done. And there we go. Now I'm lining these up. I've got these visual guides in Photoshop so I can see that these are in line with each other. I could also select multiple layers at a time, and then I get these alignment options, so I can align these, so these two rectangles would align to the left edge or to the bottom edge or to the center. So if I click on this center, it'll align them center with each other, or in this case I want them to align to the left edge, so they're all aligned left. Let's make this just a touch smaller here on this poster, or on this location, and I'm really happy with the spacing between here. It feels good and balanced. There's about the same amount of space. It bends around that shoulder. Again, just pay attention to where things are working on your artwork or on your poster, where things are falling in line, to make sure that there's good balance. All right, so that feels pretty good. So we could call that done. So there's another version. I'll hit Command S to save it. And let's say for kicks we want to do one more, and we'll bust it out real quick. I'll hit Command Shift Save. We'll go to V3 on this. Now before I do that, make sure you save it once first. So you save this currently as version 2, and then Command Shift Save to create another one. Alright, so now what we're going to do is one more version of this thing, and let's pretend like they're like, oh, we got to remove this little tattoo on his neck. So I'll zoom in real close, hit the letter L to get my lasso tool, and I'll just draw right around that little tattoo. Let's pretend it was a temporary tattoo or something, and his manager said, oh, we got to remove that. What we can do, make sure that layer's selected. I'll right click, I'll hit Fill, and in Photoshop we've got this Content Aware Fill. What's awesome about it is it looks at all the pixels around it and fills it in to match. So real quick, you can remove blemishes or things like that. Or let's pretend like on his shirt you wanted to remove, let's say it was a brand name and it had to go away. We could select different elements and right click, fill, do Content Aware, and boom, it disappears. So that's a fun little tip as we're looking at this. All right, so let's do one more version of this thing. Let's pretend like we want to go more of a subtle texture or random pattern. I can turn that off, and let's add a new layer, and I'll get my brush tool out, hit the letter B. Okay, I'll come over here and open up my brush presets. If you don't see that, go to Window, and you can pull down your brush or brush presets. And Photoshop by default has some pretty good options, but you can also download some brushes, some different texture brushes, and I can provide these in your assets folder for you to look at. But what we can do now is select your brush, and we can hit the bracket key. So the same bracket keys to move a layer right next to the letter P. So right bracket or square left bracket, makes your brush size bigger or smaller. You can also click up here and scrub left or right to get your brush bigger or smaller. Okay, so on this layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this blue color. I'm going to click on this chip and make it just a touch darker. And again, to make sure you're working on the new layer, hit the letter B to get my brush tool. And now I can start just kind of clicking anywhere in here, and it's a really subtle effect. But now what I'm doing is adding kind of this little, just a little bit of texture, just so it's not flat. So again, this is where you have to decide how much do you want to put into this piece. What does it take to make it something that looks cool and that's going to get the idea across. So I can turn that on and off if I don't like it. And at this point, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable with Photoshop. So what we're going to do now, we're going to shut down this lesson, and in the next lesson I'll show you how to export these files to either send them to your client to view as a proof or to have them printed.